Okay.
Hi, how you going?
No. Hi. How you
I
going?
don't have the microphone
No,
on.
no, that's all right. I think that's fantastic.
I think I should use it. Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a few years since I've created a photo editing video. The last couple of years I've been traveling and doing a bit of tourism work. Life just got crazy, so I kind of just never had time to sit down and process some videos about how I edit my images. So I figured with everything that's going on right now and having a bit of spare time free, I was gonna set myself a task of producing one video a week of how I edit my images to share with you guys. So the first one I'm going to start with was a sunset that I captured last week at Kangaroo Point. Saw some nice high cloud in the sky during the day, and I figured it was going to be a really nice sunset. And yeah, it turned out to be a really nice sunset, and I was actually really happy I went out. So let's get started. So here we have the image that we are going to process today. I'm going to show you what I did. So this is not quite finished. As you can see, there's a bit of blurriness there, and I want to get rid of this tree, which we'll do in Photoshop, and I'll show you how to do that. But I'll show you the original. Oops. So this is straight out of the camera. You can see it was a sunset and the sun was setting behind the city, so it's silhouetted the buildings in the foreground. It was quite dark, so I probably underexposed it a little bit, but because I use a Sony, I know I can pull all the detail back out of the image, which I have done here. So I'm just going to reset this one and then we'll get started. So the first thing I want to do is bring up the exposure, so quite a bit because it was quite a dark image. So we'll bring that up till about 1. Yep, that'll do. Okay, and then I want to add a little bit of contrast as well, which I always seem to do. So around there, I always drop the highlights right down to -100, just so it brings back all the color in the sky. And we're going to increase the shadows quite a bit because it is quite a dark image. So to about there. With the whites, what you can do is hold the Alt key down on your keyboard and just increase it. So we'll bring that up to about 34. You can see there was like some red starting to peek through there, so that's fine. Next we want to increase the vibrance, which I do quite a lot. I don't really like to increase saturation that much, just because it can look a bit gross, like it can make the yellows a bit yuck, but I will increase the clarity slightly to about 9, 10, sounds good, and then I'll just bring in a little bit of saturation. And because I've done that, you can see the yellow over here is a bit yuck, so it's the orange actually, so we'll just turn that down a little bit, just so it's not so hideous. And then we're going to put some filters on the sky and the foreground as well, so I don't really want it covering the buildings, just the sky. And I am going to just decrease the highlights again right down to -100, and I'm going to increase the saturation of the sky to around 38. So you can see that yellow has come back again, so I'm just going to turn the saturation down again on that. Is it the yellow? Oh, the orange, sorry, yeah. So we'll just bring it back a little bit. Okay, we'll see how that goes. And then I'm going to put a filter on the foreground as well, so we want that over the buildings to lighten those up too. So just click and drag it up. And then with that, we are going to increase the shadows and the exposure a little bit. I might do the exposure a little bit more, maybe to around there. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is use the brush tool, and if you click the O key, it'll turn red where you've painted. So just gonna brush over this area quite quickly and just minimize the brush on the buildings that are a little bit skinnier, just so you're not getting too much haloing happening there. And I'm doing this quite quickly and quite roughly just to show you the basics of what I do. Obviously I'd be a lot more precise if I was doing this properly, but just for the purposes of showing you my workflow, I'm just gonna do a rough outline of that, and then I will increase the shadows on that to about 20. I'm going to increase the clarity as well and bring the exposure up a tiny bit as well. So you can see that's brought out a lot more color and detail through the city there. So I'm happy with that. The only other thing that I always do is scroll right down and tick remove chromatic aberration and enable profile corrections. That's always something I do. And then I usually tend to bring the exposure down by about 10 as well, because that kind of washes it out a little bit. So I might just increase the vibrance just to bring back some of the color and just turn the exposure down just a tad more. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to jump over into Photoshop now to finish this off. Okay, so the only things I want to do in Photoshop is get rid of this blurriness over here. There must have been something on my lens, so I'm just going to use the clone stamp and just clone this area out here. So I'm just selecting from over here. Might increase the opacity to about 30, just so it's a little bit stronger. And I just keep reselecting different areas just so it doesn't look like too obvious as well. It just kind of blends it a bit more evenly, I guess you would say. As you can see, it takes a bit of time using the clone tool, and clearly I need to charge the battery on my laptop as well. You can use the spot healing removal tool to tidy up little bits and pieces as well. And I'm not going to worry too much as I'll be cropping this for Instagram anyway. All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, so it's a little bit better. So there's just a bit of like lens flare there happening. Now to get rid of this tree is going to be a bit tricky. So if I try and get rid of it with the spot healing tool, it's probably just going to make it a bit messy. Yeah, I'm not really liking that. So what I'm going to do, is I am going to take a selection here. I'm going to copy and paste, so Command C, Command V, and then move it across here. I'm going to flip it vertically. And then I'm going to put my transform handles on. And drag it down a bit. Okay. And then I'm just going to try and blend that in. So I'm going to put a layer mask on and use my brush tool on black and just brush this out here a little bit. Not too much because we don't want that tree to come back there, which it has a little bit, but we'll fix that up in a minute. Let's get rid of this sharp edge here. And then I'm going to go back to my white brush and just paint that sky back over there. And then back to my black brush and just get rid of this line here. And back to my white brush again, as I've now brought the tree back in, which I don't want. I'm just going to zoom in and merge these layers so I can clone this sky a bit better. Here's some elevator music to keep you entertained while I do it. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to get rid of this vignetting down the bottom here, which looks a bit crappy. And I'm not going to worry too much about this area over here because I'm probably going to crop it for Instagram, and that's not even going to come into effect. So you can see here, if we move it across and then crop. And that is our final image. The tree is gone. Got some nice pink rays in the sky there, which look pretty cool. And that is it. So there you have it. That is my sunset processing video. I hope you enjoyed and learnt a lot from this one. As I said, I'm going to be doing more of these each week. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a video, and that way you won't miss out on what's coming up. It was great having you here. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.